Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Show Me How podcast. I'm John Skuris, your commercial real estate strategist working across development, financing, zoning, and short-term rental operations. And we're talking today about a series related specifically to short-term rentals. And we're going to do a series of about 6 episodes on that topic. So thank you. And this is my co-host.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Weber, and I'm your residential guide helping you with buyers, owners, navigating the real estate market in a less stressful way, I hope.
Hopefully.
I don't know.
Hopefully.
It's some of the stuff I've run into lately is it's just baffling. So I'll try to navigate you, but I don't know if I have all the answers.
No, we don't have all the answers, but we do have a lot.
We do.
You know, not everything's perfect, and that's kind of the tip leading off into our episode here. So
Right.
This is our short-term rental episode on the good, the bad, and the ugly. So it's going to be, as I said, a 6-part series, and this is our first one that we're kicking off with. And we're going to talk about what I know intimately, because I am a Airbnb superhost. So.
And how long you been doing that?
5+ years, and I've been a superhost almost the entire time.
That's awesome. And what is a super host versus a regular host?
Well, there's some specific characteristics that you have to meet, and I don't know them off the top of my head. I should have been prepared with that. But I think you have to have a 4.9 out of 5 review.
Okay.
It might be 4.8. So for all your reviews, on average, over the past quarter, I believe it is, every quarter they re-verify your superhost status.
Okay.
And that has to be over a certain number of days, too. I think you have to have a minimum of, don't quote me on this, but basically you have a minimum number of stays over that period. And I think it's 10 days per quarter or for period that you're being looked at. And then you can't have canceled. Cancellation is a big one. So there's 3 characteristics.
Okay.
1, that you're above 4.8. 2, it's within this time frame over a certain number of days. And 3, that you are, my brain is foggy
Not
here.
canceling.
Not canceling on people. Canceling is a nightmare. So I don't know why. I can't imagine, though. I guess I understand it. You know, imagine if you're competing with hotels, right? Which
Right.
never cancel unless there's some terrible water.
Well, they
pipe
just
break.
walk you to another hotel.
Yeah.
Right.
But in short-term rental, you would be, I've decided I'm not going to rent. My kids or friends are coming in from out of town. No. You know, you have to be committed to this, and you can't just do that.
Now, is this, if you cancel due to an issue, like say there's a broken water main pipe or there's a broken
That's
pipe?
still a cancellation. They're
It
not going
is.
to, yeah, they're going to give you a ding.
Okay.
So, you know, that happens, but, you know, you can't avoid it. I had a broken pipe recently, it looks like, and, you know, I fixed it,
Right.
resolved it quickly, but, you know, I had resources available. I know how to do some of this work myself, so I got it done. But in some cases, you know, people get put out. Or if there's a fire, God forbid, in your
Right.
place, you know, the place is going to be unrentable. And at that point, you're not really worried about your superhost status.
No, but
Right.
I think my question is, if you're a super host, is it better to have, if you do have some sort of issue, them come and then relocate them, or is it better to cancel?
Well, what you would do is call your rental company. So whether it's Airbnb, VRBO, or
Right.
Expedia, or whoever your platform you're using, or others, you contact them and tell them what the situation is and talk to them. I would always reach out to them.
Okay.
You know, you may have your opinion, and it may be a very good opinion, but you want to talk to your partner, because they essentially are your partner in this relationship. So
Right.
you want to talk to them, make sure that you're on the same page, and they explain it. And they're very reasonable. In most cases, they understand, and they're like, okay, well, obviously it's not your fault. I had a broken window. You know, I had to get that repaired. We didn't lead to cancellation, but I had to divulge it and say, hey, there's a broken window.
Exactly.
I need to get this done. It's going to be boarded up or something. And they're like, okay, well, we'll talk to the guest about it. And if they have a problem with it, we'll relocate them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So good to know about that. And we're going to go over, since there's such a rise in short-term rentals around the world, exploring the profits, the pitfalls, the practical lessons for everyday owners, investors, and aspiring hosts must learn.
Yes, so basically we want to help you guys figure out, because our audience is typically real estate owners, real estate investors, people interested in getting into the investment game. So we want to give you guys tips and tricks on how to be successful at that. So we're going to focus on that.
Exactly. So we'll give you the rental. Are they short-term rentals easy money?
Well, no. Short-term rentals can be very profitable, but they require professional systems. They require planning,
Right.
compliance with local regulations and permitting, which at Chicago has been quite a trick. And then constant adaptation. So you have to update your property description maybe. You have to make sure you got the proper licensing, and you have to pay the fees to the city for that license, et cetera. So there are little steps you have to take. And some are a little bit, once you get operating and humming, you got your place dialed in and you get a lot of people, now you're dealing with frequent turnovers. In the summer, it gets a little hectic for me, and I have to bring in people to help sometimes in the off months, or when I have long-term stays, not really long-term, mid-term,
Right.
month, 2 months, it's much easier, but you also lower your prices quite a bit. So you have to balance, do I want to do 30-day stays where I'll be dropping the price 30%, or do I want to keep it to 2+ day stays with a limit of maybe 2 weeks? Because the
So,
discounts are much less in that case.
When you're navigating this regulations, licensing, do the short-term rental companies help you navigate that?
No,
Okay.
they do not.
Okay.
So they tell you they help you a little bit. They tell you where to go. They give you maybe a guide letter or something like that. But when it gets down to it, you have to file everything. You're responsible for it all. It's kind of a legal burden that you're going to have to take on. I guess you could hire lawyers, but we're not talking about rocket science. But in Chicago, I had a bad experience, and I had to push this. I got denied multiple times, and then I had to go for a commissioner adjustment. And then I got denied for that, and then I had to go into court, and not really official court, right? A hearing, administrative hearing, in front of the administrator, I guess you call them. And they, I had to meticulously prepare for it, prepare my case, and then go in there and say, hey, here's why you should give me the extension. And it took them 6 weeks after that. And so this went on for a year.
Wow.
But while you're going through that, I was able to list my place. So Airbnb specifically was like, fine. VRBO I had a little bit of trouble with, but I don't know why that is. But anyway.
So when you are denied, are they denying you because there's too many in your area, or are they denying you for specific reasons?
Well, our government these days everywhere are influenced by lobbyists, right? So in this case, what is a known problem all over the place is these hotels are lobbying against short-term rentals because it's a competition. And so you're taking money out of the hotel's wallet for sure. And guess what? They have billions of dollars or millions, and you have buckus compared relatively, right? So, that's the reality. So
Right.
you have to be diligent, and you have to be planful, and you have to be, a stalwart in your favor in some cases to get through this. Chicago's different than a lot of cities, I'm guessing, around the United States.
Yeah.
We're a little more intense. So it was a battle, but I got through it, and I successfully won. It was only about 2 months ago, too. So
Wow. Good to know.
September.
So if you are interested in short-term rentals, one of the things you probably want to look at is restrictions, all those things ahead of time before you plunge into it and not know what you're getting into.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, they're going to deny you. Well, it depends. So here's the circumstance in Chicago that I was in. So I have a multifamily building. I had one unit I was going to use for a short-term rental. Well, if it's not your primary unit, they deny it. It's flat out denied, flat out. You're denied automatically.
Wow.
Yes.
Why
Wow.
would you want to rent out your unit if you're in it?
That's what people do. I mean, lots of people do it. I will not stay in those types of units because you're living in somebody else's grime. Now, some people are clean, but that's not always the case, right? I would
Right.
not feel comfortable staying
And I
in
think
somebody
most
else's
people
house.
who are getting into like these short-term rentals are using them as units they're not living in. That's what.
Well, I think that's the shift. I think that's the evolution of it.
Right.
That was not the case initially.
When it started.
When it first started. But now it's turning into more of a professional platform in a business. So, yes, that is actually
So it was
happening.
more like house swapping in the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. It was,
Okay.
I'm going to go travel and I'll have a friend stay here. And that was, maybe cool when you're 20,
Right.
but I'm not doing that.
Right. And
I don't even like staying at, your brother's house on his guest bed is okay, but I would never go sleep on somebody's couch.
Right. I think they did that, now that I think through it, like, when we had big conventions in the city, I forgot what convention it was, but people were renting out their houses to people and leaving.
Well,
and
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like.
That's done. I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
That happens in special cases. For instance, I know somebody who's doing something like that for the NFL.
Like Super Bowl or something like that.
The NFL draft.
Right.
So it's in Green Bay, and so they bought a house, moved their mother in, and then they're going to rent it for like $17,000 a week.
Because there's nothing in that market.
Right. There's nothing in that market for hotel wise. There's all of a sudden this little destination gets an influx.
Inundated with like Fox News, Fox Sports, all these people, and
Yeah.
they don't want to stay at.
Well, they can't. They probably get all the hotel rooms.
Right.
Some of the smaller outfits are getting stuck in other, because Fox has a relationship with Hyatt and,
Right.
all their different derivatives and Hilton. And
Right.
so they will probably immediately, the second they know they're going there, when it's announced, they probably call their contact at the hotel.
And buy it all out.
And book it all up.
Yeah.
So it's the other smaller companies that don't have those corporate relationships that end up needing to use these Airbnb systems.
Right.
And so I think it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful system, and it probably is a huge boon. One, it makes it also easier for those types of events to happen in places they couldn't previously. So if you're going to,
I know they did that in Indianapolis
Timbuktu,
for the Super Bowl.
Iowa,
Yeah.
for an event, and they're like, it used to be, we can't do it there. We can't house all these people. We can't do it. There's no way. But now, if people open up their homes, it massively increases the availability of rooms.
Well, I think they do that like with the Final Four too. I mean,
Yeah, no, for sure.
Indy has a dome stadium. Minneapolis has a dome stadium. Chicago does not have a dome stadium, and they use that for
Because we're
like,
manly, we can handle the weather and womanly.
right? No, the toilet bowl only seats 60,000. So, anyway, so it is a interesting market as it unfolds here. What are some of the national things that we saw in October?
So, okay, we're doing this new segment, so we're going to briefly depart from the topic here. So what's the market context we're looking at related to Airbnb? I mean, it is related, but it's
Right.
different. It's more of a financial analysis here. So the average occupancy rate in 2025, October, as of that point, when we got this data, was 63% nationwide occupancy for Airbnb or short-term rentals. That's amazing,
That's amazing,
right?
right?
And that shows there's continued strength in the urban markets and the leisure markets, so that's good news. People are obviously staying in hotels, but this is an option. And why I love it to be an option, if I have myself and my two kids, if I go to a hotel, it's 2 hotel rooms. It's on average probably $250, $300 a month.
Well, a night, and you're eating out for every meal.
And you have to eat out for every
Yeah.
meal, right? And you can't be in the place with your children. When my kids were young, I wouldn't want them in another room, right?
No.
So you'd have to get a suite, and then it's more money.
Right.
So anyway, the average daily rate for Airbnbs, short-term rentals, Airbnbs or VRBOs
Yeah.
or Expedias are $265 a night, which is up 4% year over year from last year.
And that's
So-
great. That's a great
Rate.
rate.
Right? I mean, if you're not an individual needing just bare items and you want flexibility, and by the way, to see cool places in cities that you would probably never see.
And stay in neighborhoods.
Right.
Right.
In the neighborhood. Like mine, I'm in Logan Square.
And you can
/
walk everywhere.
Avondale, and you walk everywhere.
Yeah.
And now I have a new Millie by Metric coffee shop on Kedzie Avenue. It's like the high-end new coffee shop in Chicago.
What is it, like $10 a coffee
It's
cup?
ridiculous. Ridiculously expensive. I think it's $4.50.
I like to thank Sonic
the
for my
cheap
cup of coffee. Yeah.
Yes. So it is a great experience. Plus, you get to bring revenue to all these restaurants. So we have Metric by Millie. We have Eat Thai right on the corner, and then we have Small Bar right at the end of my block. So you have all these great locations within really 2 blocks.
And just walking distance. And then you could jump on the blue line and go downtown.
Well, you go 4 blocks, and there's 50 places that you can go to. Top, 5-star restaurants, Michelin-rated chefs, the whole thing, and then the transportation downtown, which takes you 50 minutes. So,
And it's great if you're in a neighborhood and you have your family with you because, A, you could eat, if you're feeding a family, you generally want to eat at home, and then you could walk around the neighborhood, get their bikes, do whatever.
You do one of every 3 meals maybe. You do maybe lunch and dinner out, but you have the flexibility. You do breakfast in the morning with the kids running around. Makes it easy.
Exactly, especially breakfast. That's like the biggest expense there is at a hotel.
Oh, it could be.
Yeah.
And you really don't want to be if you want a leisure morning in, you just stay and make your breakfast.
And I know my kids, when they used to order breakfast and they would have 3 bites, I felt like my dad was rolling up in me. Like, you feel like you need to eat all their plates because you're like, what is going on here? How are you just eating this little piece of this big thing and then you're taking it to go? Yeah, you're freaking out, and then your bill's $150 for breakfast.
Yes. So anyway, good point to avoid. Another interesting piece of data is home price index shows 5.2% year-over-year increase. So now the CPI, consumer price index, inflation level is 3.3% in general. So that means you're making 1.9% over. Your house price has increased 1.9% over the inflation rate. So that's good. That's great. Right? It's not great.
But
it's good.
It's good. It's better than the other way.
The schmo that we had before this.
Right. Oh. And then we're doing so well. And then regulations are growing on Airbnbs or, short-term rentals.
Yeah, that
Airbnb should be a sponsor of the show.
Yeah. It rolls off your tongue. It's not fair. It does. VRBO should be a sponsor.
VRBO, all the short-term rentals.
VRBO does a lot of business. They do longer term, really. They're more longer term, like.
Yeah, I think when I was looking in Florida, I was looking at months, and they kept coming up. But I think restrictions are not a bad thing, because in anything, I know spending 25 years in the hotel world.
It's regulations, not restrictions.
I mean, regulations. Yeah. I'm sorry. There's regulations in the hotels, there's standards, and it kind of flushes out the bad stuff, right? So,
crazy parties on your block.
Right. But it also absentee owners too. I think it flushes that whole segment out.
I mean, that's an issue. I'm present at my property.
Right,
and they still denied me, by the way.
Right.
I could see being a little bit nervous if the person owned a place in a community and they weren't there, and you have these short-term rental people showing up.
Right.
That would be a concern.
Or you're having parties, or these people are having parties.
What I'm saying, they're having parties. So, but because I'm there, people tend to know. But I have a good story for later about me being there, and yet the ugly.
Oh, yeah, we have a story about that. Yeah. What else is going on in the market?
Well, there's some interesting talk about loan portability. So, if you guys are in a loan, the market isn't moving very much right now because people have 2.5%, 2.75%, 3% home loans. And if they want to sell their building or condo or whatever, their house.
Now they're up to 7
they have
something.
to pay 7% on the purchase. They're going to lose a lot of money.
Right.
And so people are not moving. So I was trying to do a deconversion over in the South Loop, and I just realized after I went down this road and I started talking to these people on the board, I'm like, this doesn't make sense for them. And my customer, who owned a fair part of this building, was like giving me some grief. I'm like, you could complain all you want. I don't blame them. Why are you going to increase your cost double?
Right.
From what you were at before, and more than double in some cases. One of the guys on the council was a condo association, Berman, had 2.75% interest rate. The other guy had paid it off full. So that's part of a little problem with the condo association. They wouldn't even let me bring that possibility to all the other owners who might want to sell because they didn't want to risk it. So, because they controlled their bottleneck, it's like any sales job, right? You get blocked by the gatekeeper.
So what is this portability discussion?
So portability, it means that they're talking about this. There's a lot of legal nuances to it, but essentially you can take your interest rate, and I don't know, nobody knows how it'll work yet, and you can transfer and apply it to another loan. So I have a great interest rate, and I could take that interest rate and sell my building for a nice profit, although it would sell for more if the interest rates were lower.
Yeah.
But then I could buy another building at a lower interest rate, at 3%, 3.5%.
So you would keep your interest rate?
Yes.
Through the bank?
Well, they don't know.
Okay.
So it's just discussions now, so we don't know. Now, that's different than...
Assumptions.
Assumption, right, exactly. So assumptions are something where I'm going to sell this building to you and you're going to take over the note.
Right.
And then pay me a premium on top of that for the valuation increased above it. So those are very attractive to buyers if you have that ability. Most loans don't have that. If you can get that in for a little fee, it's a good thing to have.
It is.
Because, if the market, if you had known this 7 years ago, when we bought, I'm very lucky that I have the loan I have. But if I had an assumption, which I don't even know if I do, actually, I have to look at it. I don't think that.
You don't have an assumption?
I don't know if I do or not. I'll have to look at it. But again, you could sell it, you're still going to get less for it than you would if the interest rate was 3%.
Right.
But you can still, the pain will be less, right?
And let's just be real about an interest rate for now. And I think it's something that everyone needs to keep talking about is this 2.75, 3% interest rate. It's not coming around again. It'll be a far stretch.
It drives me nuts when you say that. It really does. You make these claims about, it's never coming back again and the world is over. You don't know.
Okay, it's a far cry for
No,
it to come
first
back.
of all, the Federal Reserve should be dissipated and gone. They're the ones setting the interest rates. We need to kick them out, okay? End the Fed. End the Fed.
And once
All right?
we end the
we
Fed,
don't need
will
to
it
be
come back
paying a
around?
third-party company for printing the American dollar, and that's why we have interest rates, okay? That's ridiculous. So we can get back there.
We can't get
We
back.
just have to take some strong steps against the Federal Reserve.
Okay.
All right, so don't say that. We are going to get rid of the Federal Reserve. Be positive.
Be
and we're going
positive.
to lower our interest rates.
Okay.
All right. So Chicago regional trends. So we've had some challenges with neighborhood restrictions. One neighborhood, the south of the neighborhood I'm in, Logan Square, has had some restrictions put on it. So if you buy a single family home over there for development, I think you have to pay a fee of $90,000
To tear it down.
That's not like the hysterical society we were talking about earlier.
Right.
Where you keep the facade looking the same way. Historical society, I like to call them hysterical.
We like to call them
They get a little
hysterical.
hysterical sometimes.
Yeah.
But they have good intentions. But this is just about tearing down homes, single family, because they say you're losing density. Now, I like that idea and I agree with it. There should be, some parameters put around this. At what point have we lost too many single family homes? And, maybe it should be a ratio of 25%. And then as you get over that ratio of 25%, you're now at, we only have 20%. Okay, so the cost is $20,000 to tear those down, or 50 or whatever. But 90 is ridiculous. And basically, we're trying to fill an illiterate, idiotic mayor's budget balancing problems.
We were
And
so
so
close.
they keep throwing.
We were so close.
No, he's a terrible. Everyone knows he's terrible. He has a 6% approval rating. You don't need to pander to anybody. Nobody likes this guy. He's a terrible person. And he has terrible intentions, and he's a criminal, I think, basically. Too.
Okay,
Allegedly. So he's working for the school district and, getting paid by the state.
I don't think charging for tear down, but I have seen in neighborhoods that are, there's certain style of a house that's in the neighborhood, and then you see these paper cutter houses that pop up. These developers put these cookie cutter houses that don't go with the neighborhood. So I think instead of charging, it should be fitted to the aesthetics of the neighborhood. That's part of the beauty of Chicago is the neighborhoods.
Yeah, that would be nice. Now you're getting into I agree.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But now you're talking about, You're dealing with the city council.
No,
And
I'm
let me
just
tell
saying
you,
that I understand the restrictions, I understand
I
things,
like that
but
idea. That would be in the best
kinda
world. Like,
preserving the bungalows,
we were
you
just
know?
at a place last night over on Western Avenue. I was walking by, and there's nice houses and bungalows and things like that. And then there's this ugly black brick giant monstrosity that towers over everything in the neighborhood that
Right.
went up in 2 months. So it's crap construction, simple, easy, very profitable for the builder, but adds nothing. No
And it's
flavor.
not,
no,
as, you know, as my brother said one time in a segment and had told me, some of the, like, you know, the frame houses that are in Chicago and that are 100 years old really weren't supposed to be around for 100 years.
No.
And God
Yeah,
knows
it's
they
true.
have last. But can you imagine what these houses will look like in 20 years?
Well, you know, I don't know. It's going to be
Right.
an interesting question. They may, our enhancements in engineering are insane. I
Right.
mean, especially with artificial intelligence nowadays, who knows? They
Who
may
knows?
be able to make these things bulletproof.
Right.
And their hideousness will stay
There,
for a long
and that's
time.
what I think that you don't want to. It's kind of like, you know, Mayor Burnham, who preserved the lakefront,
Yeah.
you know, and he did a great job on that.
Great job.
It goes to the fact that you don't want to just take this house and then that house and random, like every neighborhood has its aesthetic and you like to keep it. That's just my thought.
Yeah, I don't know, you know, how that relates to this.
I don't either.
This is filling a tax void by an inept administration. So unfortunately, that's where we are. I think they had some good intentions behind it, and then the greed mongers got behind it, raised it way too high, and put no parameters that meant anything to the beauty of
Exactly.
the neighborhood.
It wasn't what I was talking about. And then there's some secondary markets like Milwaukee, Indy, St. Louis that are converting a lot of these long-term rentals into short-term rentals.
Yeah, I mean, it's a craze going all over the place. I went to Whitefish last summer, and there were short-term rentals everywhere. There's like 30, 40 of them at least, which
Wow.
is quite a bit. Yeah.
Because you think out there it'd be more long-term rentals.
Yeah, or hotels, right? But, you know, actually kind of makes sense out there because there's a lot of, although I think you're going to get more short-term rentals out there that are somebody's apartment in some cases. No, not 50%, but probably 15, 20.
Okay.
So I was having to weed through those and make sure I got places that were only for short-term rentals.
Right.
And then, but the rates were good, and but there was a lot, you know.
That's
It's
interesting.
a very small city.
Yeah.
So why this matters to our listeners. So short-term rentals may provide supplemental income during market stagnation. So that's why we're talking about this. You know, we want, one, I think it's a good business to get into, but I also think it's an alternative to increase your income when
You
the
have
rental
these
markets are
interest
getting
rates, yeah.
tough. You know, I get higher rate, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, than you would typically. So that's
Because you have
important.
both.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I have a rental up on the third floor, and I have a Airbnb on the first floor. And so the rental makes, you know, a decent amount, but the Airbnb is 30 to 35% more.
Right.
Yeah.
So the housing market, looking at it overall,
So,
it's kind of stuck right now.
well, people are getting unstuck by using this.
By
right?
short-term rentals, yeah.
So the short-term rentals allow for an option for you. So short-term rentals aren't just vacations anymore. They're survival strategies in some cases. And you could really do okay, although, you know, things are really dynamic, especially here in Chicago. We just had a 100% increase on our taxes.
We did because of, you know,
Our
everyone
terrible-
thinks the mayor's, you know, I'm not raising property taxes, but no one talks about the void of commercial taxation with all the empty storefronts.
No one
and
talks about why we have $1 billion in excess spending, which then made him have to raise our taxes.
Right.
So, you know, that's what happened. He spent $1.1 billion more than his budget on something that we should not have paid for, and now he's passing it all on to us. None of this. He's 6% approval rate. 94% of the people did not want any of this, and now he's raised our taxes, and the governor's also supporting it. So remember who you're dealing with. These people are happy to dig in our pockets, and it's really hurting people. People in Lawndale neighborhood, African American, like
I think it was Inglewood Lawndale, and there was one more. There was 3 of them that Englewood went up
protesting.
133%.
Yeah, it's a crime. This is basically what they're saying without saying it is, we want you to sell your property and we want you to go rent because we want your 15-minute city idea. And so they're raising the rates so high, they know the people can't afford it.
Right.
I'm in a decent neighborhood making good money, and it's hurting me. So I'm sure they're in way bad shape. One of the examples I saw is this woman's rates went up $950 a month.
Right.
I was
and
like,
it's
what?
just, and it's sad, and it's a crime that
maybe a multi-unit. I don't know what type of structure it was. But.
We don't, as a whole country, we don't take care of our elderly. But also, when you raise somebody's rates and they don't know what to do and say their house is paid off, they don't realize that their taxes will be sold if they don't pay them. Then they have more problems, and then they have, it just gets in a whole thing.
This could be a great call out to the community. Go to people that are distressed, and maybe
just help them. Yeah,
help them. Send them our podcast. We'll try and help them.
We'll try and help them with some resources. There's some resources out there, especially I think for elderly people that might not. You think, they have family that's watching over. Well, maybe their family's not in Chicago. And I have seen this more than once, that an elderly person or someone that doesn't understand the tax, like, I just can't afford it, I'm not going to pay it now. They don't realize it compounds and it gets worse and it gets worse.
Right.
And they just need to, there's relief programs out there. There's
relief
different
programs. You could also use the legal market to unwind paying property taxes at all.
Exactly.
That's a little bit of exactly.
Well, I mean,
you may not know what I'm talking about, but you can use law and unwind the property tax system. It's a complex procedure, but it can be done because you're paying for things that don't apply to you. That's another story for another day.
And also one of the things that I just recently, even I forgot, right? And I just bought my house in Des Plaines, the homeowner's exemption.
Yeah, that's fine. That's like $2,000.
No, but I'm saying I have two PIN numbers. I forgot about that. But then there's the senior freeze. There's all these things that have someone look over your taxes just to make sure you got those in order, and then go through it.
Or again, everything's expensive. So if you don't have a lot of money, use artificial intelligence and dig into it and see if it's viable for you.
Or just reach out to us. We'll help you out for sure.
It's definitely will.
Yeah, I got a bleeding heart.
And we'll do what we can to help everybody. Yeah. So why are short-term rentals today the real estate market's battleground? Short-term rentals are dominating the housing.
They are
conversation. So it's
they're reshaping the neighborhoods, affordability, and homeowner models. Again, if you don't want to give up your 2.9, 75 or your 3% interest rate, how can you stay in your home and then maybe you're in a 3-flat like you are, and then you rent one and you do short-term rental on the first floor. And
so it's a big conversation in the areas. Globally, short-term rental market is now $64 billion.
That's it. When I looked at that number, that is amazing to me. Because how long has the short-term rental market been around? Maybe 12 years? Yeah.
About 12 years. So, that's it. So, short-term rentals are booming, and even as regulation tightens. So, that's something that's going on. So regulations are coming into play.
And I think that keeps, like we talked about, it keeps fewer hobbyists and more pros into it. So you're not having those people who are just, I don't care what you're doing in there. I'm just taking my $4,000 and running, or whatever they're doing. The regulations are helping people like yourself who are actually taking this as a business.
Yeah, for sure. It lends itself nicely to my lifestyle. So it provides mobility for the marketplace. So people that want to travel and kind of experience different neighborhoods can do that, as we said in the beginning of the episode. I can also use it for my kids. So when they're out of town at school and they want to come home, I can freeze it and make it available for them.
Right.
It's great for people that are relocating. And in this gig economy, again, I had a guy who was there last winter, Rich, really nice guy, and basically he was working, he's a computer tech, and he sat there programming all day long and got to experience the neighborhood. And I had another person do the same thing. He was there for 3 months. Somebody else was there for a month.
And just because he didn't want to be where he was?
Yeah, he wanted to see what Chicago was like. Now, winter's a tough time to be coming
Yeah,
here,
I don't know
but
why we'd come then.
well, just because he could. He could go anywhere.
Right.
Although I would be in Bali probably instead.
Probably, or yes.
But he flew to New
somewhere.
York a lot for work, so.
Well, it's easier probably wherever he was. If it was a smaller market, Chicago's easy to get to New York. There's an hour. There's a flight every hour.
Right.
So
let's explore why this model remains so appealing. What's the good side, right?
yeah,
So managed right, short-term rentals outperform long-term rentals. So you're getting a lot higher money, as I said. On average, the market gets 32% higher gross yield. So that's gross, that's not net, but nonetheless, it's pretty good.
yeah.
So I get about almost exact, I think I get a little more, 34 to 35%.
And that
So-
is there is there like surge pricing they have with Uber now? Is there if there's stuff going on in the city, can you raise your rates? Can you do the same thing?
Well, they have in one of the platforms I use, they have what's called smart pricing. So you just click that button, that tab over, and then it automatically adjusts your rates. However, I find it's flawed. I think it's too generalized. My building is beautiful. It's from 1888, gray stone, totally
right.
rebuilt.
It doesn't take all those parameters into it.
No, it doesn't. It's general, right?
Okay.
So you have to decide if your property is, not at that level and you're not a super host, and you need the money, you might want to lower it. If you have a more premium property, a more premium neighborhood with metric by milli in your neighborhood coffee, you have
The $10 coffee shop, just $10 for a cup of coffee.
the grocery store 2 blocks away, the small bar right around the corner, the great Thai restaurant, and then the Michelin-rated chefs. You
Right.
raise it, 15, 20% potentially.
But
So,
it gives you a
but
parameter and an idea.
it does, absolutely, and you need to go through there. It's a bit tedious to do it, so you have to go in and change the price. And if you're on multiple platforms, you have to do it on each platform.
Oh, good to
So it's a
know.
little
So,
tedious.
again, use it at your discretion, but it is a good tool to kind of give you an idea of what the market's at right now.
Yeah, for sure. So, how do most hosts balance personal use with profitability? So, to me, when I hear that and I think about that, it's, bringing my son in for the weekend to stay with me is just a blessing to have him there for a weekend, for Christmas, for Thanksgiving.
Right.
You can bring your family in very easily, but also you get higher rent. So as long as you're managing it properly, you're going to do fine. You're going to do well by using the right tools, calendar blocking, not discounting for owner stays or for kids during prime times. But in some cases you can. So you're still getting prime rates. Like, there's so many holidays nowadays, right? I only need 2 or 3 a year that I use for my family. But the other, 9 or so are at regular rate. So
Right.
you're getting
I
good
think
money.
one of the things probably for using this calendar block I've seen, just going to visit the kids, right, at school. If there's a football game, if you're at if you're having a short-term rental in a college town, you want to definitely look at what's going on at the school, what's going on in the area. So you're blocking it out accordingly. And I've seen some of these short-term rentals where you're like, what?
Oh, yeah?
Am I not in Iowa?
Yes.
So-
well, they know you may be in Iowa, but you also need to be here.
Right. So,
So, yeah.
parents' weekend, things like that. So,
Well, we did huge lacrosse tournaments down in the middle of Ohio.
yeah.
And let me tell you, there weren't many options unless you wanted to drive 45 minutes to an hour and a half, which you don't want to do because you're
No.
doing it twice a day and for 2 days, 3 days sometimes. So they know.
They know.
They got you by the short hairs, as we like
So
to say.
don't think just because you're in rural America that they're not aware of what's going on in the town.
No.
So as we think about this, what's that song? Every rose has its thorns.
Very nice.
Let's talk about the downside to short-term rentals.
All right, so the challenges, the costs, and the burnout.
the
burnout's
burnout.
a real deal. I mean, it
It
really
is a real
happens.
deal.
So as I said, summer gets stressful. You have taxes you have to deal with.
Right?
You have hidden labor costs. This window I have to have replaced is $250. It should have, back in the day, it probably was 40. So those costs are real costs. That's going to be 2 days stay, maybe a day stay, depending on the time of year.
Well, and also when you're talking about summer, if you have younger kids, you think you're going to go away, you're going to do your own thing. If you got to take that in consideration, if you have an Airbnb and you're trying to maximize it might not always line up. So make sure you think you're going to go away for the 4th of July. Maybe that's not ideal for your going away, but then you adjust your schedule.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a good cleaning crew, which
Right.
I do, that
Right.
takes care of everything. So I'll do extra cleaning. I'll have them doing the hallways and, the outside. I'll have a landscaper come and do some stuff just to keep it clean. But you're absolutely right. It takes more effort.
Right.
And poor systems will kill your profit. If you don't have it done right, or, there's automation capabilities you could do, like you could link up your calendar to a cleaning service.
Right?
But usually I'm charging, max $90 for a stay, for a short-term stay, $30 an hour. I figure 3 hours, but it really should be more than 4. You start using those services, it's $150. So you're losing.
Almost.
60,
Yeah.
I would be losing $60 on that cleaning off of the bill. Because and the problem becomes, do you raise the cost then of the cleaning? Well, that's a competitive point, so it becomes an issue.
So do you set the cleaning costs rate?
It's a pass through for me.
No, but when you see your Airbnb
Yes,
bill,
you do set it.
You
Yeah.
set it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I just try and use it as a pass through. But unfortunately, when I do travel, I get hit with something a little bit more because I need somebody responsible there.
Right, and
But
you're not going to be there.
I'll pay that fee.
Okay.
Ends up being $40, $50 or something like that.
So what are some of the host turnouts that, hosts avoid their burnout?
How can they avoid their burnout?
Yeah.
You have to build backups. So you have to have plans for additional cleaning services, maintenance vendors that are reliable. I just had an issue with a guest, the difficult person, and she was right at a little level. I had to have somebody come in, like, first day she was there and fix something, or I offered to fix it. She didn't want it done, and she was like, I don't want that. I'm like, okay, we won't do it. But I wanted this fixed for her before the event, before move-in started. It wasn't a big deal. There's chair rails and there's a mark on the wall. But the developer, the contractor, didn't show up. He was booked with something else, and I had this period of time, like 2 days, between one rental and the next, and I couldn't get him in there. The best I could do was the day of her first day. So I gave her the option. She said, no, I don't want it. And then she complained about it later. But, that's a trick. You have to schedule, you have to do maintenance
Right.
at a particular time. Like I'm always shampooing having my furniture shampooed. And I do it at a particular time each year after the winter season. We'll have it all shampooed up. I might do it at the end of the summer season if it's real heavy as well, depending on who's staying there. So you have to schedule things like that in, because it could take a day and it takes another day for it to dry. So you have to do sort of maintenance scheduling in advance and try and slate in contractors. And then even if you do slate them in and they say they'll be there, they may not show.
Exactly.
Right?
So you have to really understand that, maybe have a couple backup contractors done.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard
I know it's hard.
call, but you do what you do.
Right.
Hopefully, you sometimes I just block out a week and say, this is when I'm going to do maintenance. Because there have been points where I'm like, all right, I need to get in there and paint this thing and have this painted, and I need to patch those walls. There's a crack here, a crack there. It's looking not so good, so I'll just block out some dates.
Right.
Hopefully during the week, so I'll try and do like a Tuesday to Thursday, and maybe.
And do you take
even
the
start-
most, the time that you, from the history of your short-term rental, the slowest time? Is that when you block it out?
Ideally, if I could. So it would be
Yeah.
winter, time, right, is when I want to do my standard maintenance in Chicago. I'd like to do it starting, November, December, January, February. I
Right.
should have, although last year I had no vacancies all through the whole winter. But there were longer term tenants, 2-3 months, and I talked to them about it, and they're like, yeah, just send somebody in, so.
So
You could-
just
you could talk
communication
to
is probably the key.
Communication is key, yes.
So if that's the bad, let's hear the ugly.
The ugly.
The ugly.
So worst case scenarios and legal safeguards are important. I don't want to freak everybody out, but damage, people cause damage,
Right.
fraud, and liability are real threats. So, and we just talked about one today that I hadn't thought of, the guests requesting to leave their luggage early, right? I'm always kind of thinking, on the upside and the good, and then Stephanie brought up, well, what if they asked to leave their luggage and then they claim something that was never in their luggage and say that it was removed? I was like, oh my gosh, I'd never thought.
Right.
I never considered somebody doing that, but
That's my hotel
absolutely.
background.
Yeah, she's from the hotel industry, so this obviously has happened to her.
Right.
So I'd never thought of it. So what I'm going to do very quickly after this episode is go put a disclaimer in the property description.
Well, it's funny.
So-
I was doing a transportation event, and Tony Dungy was speaking, right? So he's speaking at this event, and we're doing the transportation, and he was late because his plane came in late. And I told him, go to the speaking event. Don't worry about it. I'll make sure your bags get in your room. And I go to the front desk, and they're like, oh, we'll just put it in the bell closet. I said, okay, you get out a piece of paper that you're going to be liable for all of Tony Dungy's bags and everything. I go, why don't you call the general manager and let's see if we can put it in his suite. All of a sudden the general manager comes. He's like, absolutely, we'll put it in his suite. I go, I need you to give me the key too, because I'm going to hand it to Tony Dungy and I'm going to take that responsibility.
Right. Very good.
So it's thinking through this, if
The
you're going to...
potential liabilities.
Yeah, the potential liabilities.
Yeah.
If you're going to take someone's luggage, and we're talking the good, the bad, and ugly, you want to make sure that
This is the ugly.
what's in their bags.
Yeah, so put a disclaimer. So I looked up, did a little
Right.
research. What it said was you should absolutely put a disclaimer in your property description. I'm happy to take luggage, and I have that in there if somebody gets there early, because, we have to clean. Sometimes it's a quick flip, or
Right.
the cleaner's not available. So it could be I have a 3-day split between one guest and another, but the cleaner's not available till the last day, which is a nightmare. But it happens a lot because they're booked. They have regular clients they go to,
And then they're squeezing you in.
and
when
they're
they can.
squeezing you in and trying to shuffle their calendar, and they're like, I can't do that.
So what is a nightmare that you didn't see coming?
Well, that didn't happen, the luggage thing, thank God, but I
Right.
will change that. But I had 3 nightmares, but I'll talk about one that was the most. It was some people coming in trying to sell, there's 2. There's one who's trying to make and sell methamphetamine in the kitchen, and I smelled it. Luckily, I was in the building, and I was like, what's going on? I went and confronted these guys and went down there. I was like, you need to go now. And called the police and had that whole taken care of. They were out of there like rats, with the light turned on. The other one was worse and caused me a lot of consternation, a lot of difficulty. And ultimately, I had to resolve it myself, but I could have had the insurance from the
Right.
shared housing rental system cover it. But it was a mother and a son who were in to do security for the illegal immigrant facilities in Chicago, and they're paid some insane amount of money that we're now paying for out of our tax hike, and they were smoking what appeared to be methamphetamine in the house.
So we're
And-
not drug testing these people.
Well, obviously you don't know who these people are, but
Okay.
I thought, so when I had the first instance,
Right.
I have a shared area in the back, and so I could smell something. I'm like, what's up
Like
with that? It
weird-
smelled like ammonia.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on over here? So I kind of figured it out. But when they're doing it privately, they're in there, and they're in there for a long period of time, and that stuff is toxic waste. It got all over the walls, all over the bed, the furniture, all
And
over.
what was it again? It was like blue stuff,
It's
right?
blue. It was a blue haze. of like weird. I can't imagine what their lungs look like. It's
Wow.
frightening.
Wow.
It was this horrible. You know, like you'll see when you burn a candle.
Yeah.
Some candles will have a toxic residue that goes all over the place.
Yeah,
Not-
especially when you put them in like a closed corner or something like that.
Yeah, you'll see it kind of. Well, this is everywhere. So they're in there doing this, and it's in the living room. But it was really in the bedrooms. So I had to get toxic waste removal. I was trying to get it done by a vendor. These guys they know what they're doing. They're in this business to make a fortune.
Of course
They were
are.
like 20,000 to come out and clean the building. I was like, no, I'm a contractor, ex-contractor.
Right.
I know what it takes. It's not rocket science. It's literally smearing a chemical on the wall.
Wow.
And, you wear a suit and mask and all that stuff, which I did, and you have gloves. But are you insane? But people don't know what to do.
Now,
So they're
quick
stuck
question.
paying these fees. Yeah.
When you rented to them, right? Was there
Yeah, I
anything?
asked if they
no.
smoke meth.
But was there anything on their profile that said anything like warning, warning, warning? Obviously not. So
No, actually, I think if I recollect, they had very, very, almost no previous history with the rental service.
Wow. So
because
that's
they had never
interesting.
used it, and they were using the Airbnb like a hotel, really, like a long-term stay hotel.
Okay.
While they were on working.
Okay.
And then their contract kept getting extended, and then they wanted to extend. And ultimately, they had to go. I did extend it for a couple weeks at one point, and then
because you didn't know what was going
I
on.
had no idea. Then I went down. They were little signs here and there. They were throwing parties on Monday night because that was their night off. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Right.
My son's going to school. You can't, or work in the morning. You cannot do that. Oh, well, I'm like, last warning.
Last warning.
So you have good regulations, and if you have those quiet hours in place, you could get rid of them that way. But anyway, the point is, pay attention,
Right.
watch, find out what's going on, make sure you don't get bamboozled, and maybe even, I haven't thought of this until just now, but set up, if they're going to be medium-term stays, you come in, you have the right to go in there, and you take that opportunity and do it. You can give them 24-hour notice and go in
Right,
there
or
and
just,
check it out.
check it out, say you're doing maintenance. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not saying a lie, but you can do maintenance.
No, you can go in there for any reason. You don't
Right.
have to lie. You just say, I'm going to go and check out the property. And
I think
do it,
that'd be a good idea.
one time a month or something like that.
So
Yeah.
what's the first, if something does go wrong like that, what is your first, legal step, or what do you do when you
Document. So document, de-escalate if possible, as much as possible. Notify the platform immediately and their insurer and potentially your insurer. Once you file these claims, that's a little step. I'm working on public adjustment license. Once you inform the insurance, that's a whole nother ball of wax. But if you inform the
Platform's
short-term rental,
insurer?
yes, then that's a reasonable step. And then avoid any off-app communications.
So what does that mean?
Don't talk to them directly. Put everything in writing, or talk to them directly because you're going to be forced to. And what I would do is I would
Like text?
synopsize our conversation. Sue, whoever, as we just discussed, no parties or whatever drug you've been using, you're now liable for, whatever the case is. And you just have to tell them, look, this is an issue.
So
But-
do you communicate in the platform that way, or do you
Yeah.
communicate on text?
I would always do it in the platform because
Okay.
then the platform
Sees your communication.
customer service people see it and
Right.
they can monitor it. So that's very helpful. You could do both, but I would absolutely say
And then
that's the
if
best
you
way
were
to go.
looking at this, like which protections really matter?
I mean, insurance. So you want to make sure you have insurance and proper insurance. So I talked to my Allstate agent, Perry. Hi, Perry.
Hi, Mary.
Perry guy.
Where's Jake from State Farm?
Perry Good from Chicago. I expect a deep discount, Perry.
Perry. Jake.
And, he made sure I was covered for the short-term rental situation. But also the platform covers me. So VRBO, Airbnb, the systems I use have insurance for you too called Air Cover. But those are really supplemental insurances. I think if you're getting into this seriously, you're going to want your own, if you're doing multiple units, things
So
like that.
discuss it with your insurance broker.
Yeah,
and then,
for sure. And then have strong lease language. So Your property description needs to be solid, and in some cases, purposely vague. Like I just had a situation with this person. She got in there. She's in there for a month, a little over a month, and there was a neighbor situation, an inconsiderate neighbor who works on vehicles as like a hobby, went into the alley and was revving his motorcycle ridiculously loud for like 5 minutes. Insane. Testing the motor or something. It bothered me, bothered everybody within 1,000 feet.
Right.
As soon as that happened, she came and said, I want to cancel my reservation.
Oh.
And I was like, well, it was $3,000. I'm like,
Over
no.
the motorcycle revving?
Well, I'm speculating, by the way.
Yeah.
This is like very coincidentally connected with that. And I was aggravated, really aggravated too. I was going
Right.
to go out there and wring my buddy's neck. He's not buddy, but he's a neighbor. Andreas. Don't do that again, Andreas.
Andreas, you know better.
So he stopped quickly, but I know it was jarring for me and it was probably jarring for her. And then all of a sudden she's like, well, your unit isn't the way you described it. I'm like, what are you talking about? You said you have a yard and you don't have a yard. There's no yard. And it's winter in Chicago. So winter in Chicago, I have a raised flower or plant
Plants,
bed,
like a garden.
And so I covered it for the winter with a tarp
Like everyone
and
does.
rocks, like everybody does. And she sent these photos to Airbnb saying the yard is not accessible. And the Airbnb guys, they're at some call center in so they don't know the weather in Chicago. They don't know much, let's be frank.
They're not
They're just
realizing that
people
we're-
picking up phones.
Well, and
doing
also
the
they're
best they
not
can.
realizing there's no need to go in a yard in Chicago when we just
In
had
winter.
4
It was
inches of
like
snow.
4 inches.
Yeah.
Well, right after she was complaining I have no yard.
It's 4 inches
it
of
was
snow.
snow everywhere. I'm like, the deck is available if you want to go on the deck. No, it's the yard. I wanted the yard for my dog. Who
Isn't there?
isn't there? There was no dog in the
That's true.
So she's telling this Airbnb guy this
my
stuff.
God.
And I'm like, look, dude, she's trying to get out of it because she had a bad experience, I think, with this, but whatever, irrelevant. I have advertised there's a yard. I didn't say it's a fully outfitted yard. I didn't say it's,
You can go out there
lush with
greens and
greens
flowers
and trees
and-
and hummingbirds. None of this. It's a yard. That's
a
all
yard.
it is. And there's a deck. But the deck is really nice. It's like $15,000 in furniture up there. That wasn't good enough for her. So she was just using that
Right.
just to get out of this, is what I believe. And the Airbnb people, the shared platform people were supporting her. Initially, I'm like, listen, no, here's what it is. And then I read through my description, and I had something in there saying, management, me, at any time can work in that yard, in that area, and necessarily in the unit. And if I need to get in there, I can get in there, and I can have workers in there, and at any time. And so,
And didn't you have workers working on the stairs or
they were
something?
actually, the picture she took had the workers in there. And she's like, there's a tarp over the ground. I can't walk on the ground. I'm like, safety tarp. But anyway, people will look for opportunity. You don't
Yes.
want to give them any.
Right.
Right? Because their circumstances may change and they don't want to pay the bill potentially. They're going to say, hey, I have to cancel because your place isn't good enough. She started talking about mold. I'm like, mold? There's no mold anywhere. I just had it recaulked 2 days before she got there.
Right. So and I think one of the biggest things that you learned, and I think by me talking to you, is I know you want to tell in your description like details of like lush green, whatever, but also like dial that back a little bit.
Well, also it's situational.
Right.
So, I was talking about this the other day too. Oh, we have HBO, we have Showtime. Don't put that in there.
Just say cable
Like, say I have cable with movie channels usually.
or Wi-Fi or whatever.
Well, you have to say Wi-Fi. They're
Okay.
very specific on that component. But the TV stuff, technically, you'd be in default. And you know how we change all our streaming services all the time?
Exactly.
If you are too specific, which I currently am, by the way, I have to change it. Just say there's movie channels. You're welcome to log in your own streaming
you
systems.
can get local stations
Right.
on local TV, and then
So
there's
being too descriptive can be a problem because they could have said, you said it's lush and green and it's no longer. Well, that technically I did say that, and I was thinking of summer, so you get hit. So in that case, a yard with furniture or whatever.
Right.
Just be
Just a yard.
purposely vague. Yeah.
yeah.
So You just have to be clever because you don't want to get in trouble. You can put pictures, or what I would put now when I change it is I'll say it's seasonal.
I would say
closes
seasonal,
seasonally,
yeah.
Seasonally available, things like that.
So, if we haven't scared you yet, I don't think we have.
No.
Mike, are you scared?
Terrified.
I think bringing it home and some key lessons and next steps that we can look at.
Yeah, so efficiency turns chaos into control. I think that's the core of everything. So being purposeful and efficient, using the right tools, being purposeful about your description, and updating your content regularly with the new restaurants in the area or the restaurants that are gone, because I actually am putting restaurant names in, and I think that's a nice thing to do, but people could say, oh,
it's not there anymore.
But I still am doing that piece. I hope the platform will support me if somebody tries to go down that road. But there's all sorts of automation tools you can use, property management tools, centralized calendars, communication tools that usually come with the platform. In my experience, there's probably others I don't use, that I'm not aware of, and cleaning services that can connect into your calendar. Now, again, it's going to come at a premium probably, so you have to decide, is that something I'm willing to take a hit on the rate for the room night, or am I going to add it and deal with lower occupancy rates potentially if you increase the cost and pass it on 100% to the guests?
That's my question. I've run in a couple of Airbnbs, and I run in one actually in Columbus during a convention, and I was like, wait, what? How much to clean it? I'm not even in the room. I'm in the convention the whole time. So I ended up not renting that one because of the cleaning cost.
Yeah? What was it?
It was like $100 a day.
Well, 100 a day is, sadly, these people have to earn a living, and
I'm just saying,
$20 to $30 an hour, about $25 an hour.
But I'm only there for 4 days or 3 days.
Oh, every day?
Every day was
$100.
Yeah.
What do they think you're doing?
I don't know.
They must
I'm like,
so
whatever.
So by the way, don't let the ugly taint you. Like I've had
I think sometimes, and they didn't purposely mean it to be every day, but the way you load it in the system, I don't know. Maybe they meant $100 at the end.
Just call them. You should just message them. Usually, good hosts like myself
would be like, no, I'm sorry.
Tuned into your phone, and ding, it'll pop up.
Right.
My Airbnb notifications are on. My emails are off.
Right.
My phone's on. I turn on and off things. So Airbnb is first one. If anybody's coming through and they have an issue, I want to know about it right away. The house on fire, God forbid, whatever, flood, a broken pipe, I want to know right away what's going on. So I keep that on, and you just follow up. And I message people, and when they message me, I'm almost always right on time. Within
and I think communication is the key in everything.
It is huge.
The key
to be a good host of any sort on any platform. You need to communicate effectively. So also personal touch.
We differ on this.
Well, Stephanie goes to extreme levels because she's from the hotel industry.
Right.
So they're ridiculous in their the way they can. No, they have a big budget, and the rooms are a lot more expensive. At Airbnb, as a host, I'm not spending $45 on a welcome gift for somebody, or $20 even, right? It's like I'll put out some coffee, and everyone's been happy. I'm a super host.
You're a super host.
I put out some Keurig cups and some directions to how to get places, and a nice warm greeting.
I'm not saying. I just like the personal note.
I'll pet your dog.
I'll pet your dog. Give my dog some treats.
Right. I'm not, I'm not doing the buffet.
I like the buffet.
The cheese and cracker setup.
I didn't get cheese and crackers. I just got the basket with the note and the...
Yeah, the handwritten note.
I love the handwritten note.
That's a nice idea. If you live... And you know where I've always gotten those? We were just talking about it a minute ago.
When we put you at the hotels for free?
No, actually. Nice family, married couple, and the wife is upstairs, and I was staying in the lower level, and she wrote a nice note out and put it there. And it was something that somebody had time to do, right?
Right.
I'm a busy guy. I'm not running around doing this stuff. And also, if you have multiple Airbnbs, you can't afford to do that.
Sure you can.
Maybe you can. No, you have to drive all over the city and drop off little handwritten notes. I want to
Makes a
see Stephanie's
difference.
first Airbnb when she gets her
I
new
know.
place in Florida.
No,
I'm gonna hold
no.
her to it. We'll have an episode
On my first
her
Airbnb.
Epic, tragic.
Epic tragic.
Airbnb experience. I had to fly from Chicago to,
yeah, my
to
brother will
Florida.
be managing it, I'm sure.
Because my
He'll
brother's
be like-
handwriting wasn't good enough.
Oh my God, if you've ever seen my brother's handwriting, it's seriously serial killer.
Yes.
Like, you're worried for him. Like,
From
I
the-
told him
he
to
has
his
the
face.
DTs.
I don't know
from
what, we're both
moonshine.
left-handed, and he's like, I don't know what goes on over there, but it's very strange.
It's the moonshine. Trust me.
It is the moonshine.
You would have DTs.
Oh, we
and
didn't even
drink that
talk
stuff,
about your
too.
trip to Florida.
No, we didn't. It was
Are
a
we
great
running out of time?
experience. It's getting a little long in the tooth here, but Florida was great. Went down to the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show with Captain Caleb.
Captain Caleb.
And
Captain
Captain
Hook?
Stanley Dean.
Dean, yeah.
Caleb is very close to Captain Hook.
Yep.
Captain Hook's a PG version of Captain Caleb. Captain Hook is much better
Oh,
behavior
my
than
God.
Captain Caleb.
I think Captain
Caleb was a unicorn with his girlfriend.
He's got a girlfriend now.
Who was a girl. No, it's
No,
like, you met her
no,
today earlier, and she's very sweet. But they were unicorns, and he turned around, and so they're facing each other in the party we were at the whole time. And
Oh, very
kissing,
nice.
facing, and
Nice.
having fun, and doing shots.
I heard Captain Caleb even wore Captain Dean.
You what?
He wore out even Captain Dean.
He always wears out all of us. None
He
of us
does.
can roll with Captain
Right,
Caleb.
Captain Caleb.
He has a liver of titanium. That's what we've decided.
I don't even know what his liver looks
He's a
like.
brilliant captain, though. The guy is
We
amazing.
love him.
He's on a super yacht, and he's fantastic. Very.
So you got to go to the
serious.
bougie parties?
Bougie parties. We didn't go to that many this year because he didn't have a yacht in the. He flew in from Tahiti specifically for the party.
Oh,
So he
okay.
lives in Fort Lauderdale. So his yacht was staying in Tahiti.
He flew in for the boat show.
He lives there. So he
No,
flew-
I mean he flew from Tahiti for the boat show.
No, he flew home because his shift was off. But he scheduled his shift
So he
to
could come
line up with the boat show.
Okay.
So it worked out great.
Okay.
So it was a fun Halloween. All the costumes are great. Party places are great. Had a lot of fun.
Florida's still Florida, huh?
Florida's still. I got to swim in the ocean several days. I took.
Did my brother go swimming with you?
He did not.
He doesn't
He
like-
stood on the beach.
He doesn't like.
One day he stood there.
Oh, nice.
No, they all get jaded by the beach. I think after they've been there for a while, just like we forget about how beautiful Chicago is in some
Right.
places, right?
Right.
But I got to use the golf cart and drive around. Had a lot of fun with that. But then Dean made the terrible suggestion of taking the electric scooter bike,
Right, which
instead
was-
of the
which was Cato
larger
Kalin's?
golf cart. And Johnny took a spill.
Was Johnny,
Johnny-
twice, right?
No, I fell down 3 times on the same spill. One spill, 3 times.
Oh my God! That's why we couldn't record one week because John had a nugget on his head.
Yeah. But yes, I went down pretty hard. But it was 3 times that I racked my head on the ground. So I was driving.
Thank God his head's made of titanium.
I went to Deck 84, great place, right on the Intercoastal. I
Is
sat there
that
and I do some work. I was doing one of our episodes. As a matter of fact.
Nice.
I think it might have been this episode.
Wait a minute, is that a bar?
It's a bar restaurant.
Oh, I think I've been there.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's really cool during monsoons and huge storms there.
Why?
Because they drop these curtains down, and they have live music there sometimes, and the rain can't get through the curtains. So you're watching this rain, like, it's coming down like crazy.
And you're not worried about the rain coming down like a monsoon or a
No, I
hurricane?
love those storms are awesome. It's like
Nice.
100% humidity.
Everyone else is evacuating, and my brother and John are listening to the band
There's
that
like
is
20 of us
Yeah,
together,
just
all
still
drinking
sitting
and
there
having a good time. So I had, Bloody
We don't
Mary,
recommend that, just as a
couple
disclaimer.
happy hour margaritas, and then I tried to follow your brother home, Speed Demon in his 8-cylinder Jeep, and I took a turn on there was
Gravel road?
because they don't have curbs because it's like
No, it's Florida.
and I went down. My knee still has a scab on it. It's been about 3 weeks. But lesson learned. This is it.
Don't drink
This is-
margaritas and ride on a
you
scooter.
know, well, I should have had a helmet. I should have not taken the scooter at all.
You should have
without
had a helmet.
Without a helmet, I should have taken the
The golf cart.
But it sounded like a nice idea, and it was a little bit nice.
Was my
But
brother trying to get rid of you, or?
He wanted me to use less energy, I think, by using the bike, because he has to pay for the thing to be charged up. Dean Stilowski is his
Stilowski, yes.
full name.
But our last disclaimer of the day, my nieces were in town this past weekend, and we talk about my brother and kid about my brother's cheapness, which we love.
Yes.
And
no,
his
we
daughters,
don't all love it.
right?
They don't.
His daughters are not cheap.
They're not. They spent, last time they were here, they went out for food and everything, and he told me it's $5,000.
Easily
like
this time
a
it was
day and a
that.
half.
Yeah.
Well, this time it's probably more.
Right, because they went to the bougie places to shop on
Yep.
Michigan
They
Avenue.
ate at Gibson's. They went to some
Zaria's
high-end-
or something.
Zaria's is like,
Yeah.
$350 for a shirt.
And then they were asking my brother why he doesn't have.
Yeah, then he's dressed with like a rip.
Yeah,
He
he's
has
got
a tear.
ribs. He look.
He has a tear in his
They're like-
clothes.
Auntie Steph, my dad should get more clothes. I go, I don't think he can afford them after you guys have been here. I still see him twitching in the corner. So we do love my brother, and we do love when his girls come in. And it was
It was a great
Katie's birthday.
visit. It was Katie's birthday, her
Yeah, so-
22nd birthday.
22nd.
Happy birthday, Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Hi, girls. If you're out
Hi,
there. We know
girls.
you're watching because you love us.
Yes. So, short-term rentals we're going to make this one of how many series?
6.
6.
Could flex, though.
It could flex. But it's an important segment. It's an important topic. Like anything, if you have any questions, John is your person to go to.
No, showmehowpodcast.com.
Right.
I'm sorry, stories at showmehowpodcast.com.
We want to hear your stories, but if they
Send
have
your stories
questions
in.
about, I don't
Just
have
write
it.
me, John, at showmehowpodcast.com
Yes.
if you want to know more. I'll help you
And
there.
and you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on LinkedIn.
And by the way, we have a tool for you, a short-term rental checklist. So that'll be available at the Show Me How
Podcast.
showmehowpodcast.com/tools.
And there's a tool section in the
On the
website. Yeah.
Yep. So, again, to synopsize, short-term rentals can be successful, but you have to be planful, you have to prepare, and you have to be careful in some cases to properly articulate. It just takes a little bit of work. You got to apply, carefully, get through the licensing and administrative processes as quickly as you can.
Right.
Know that you can be on those platforms while you're applying, so you can be making money.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have been. Maybe if you're first starting out, because I had my license and it went away. It's a long story. I don't want to get into. It was some.
We'll leave that for a
It was
different.
a unit switch change that screwed it up. But anyway.
So you can do that. So,
Yeah.
or check with whatever your local government is, if you can be on the site before you get approved,
Yeah, that's what I'm
definitely,
saying.
or check with the
Look,
short-term rental people.
The short-term rental platforms want to make money, right?
Right.
But by the way, in my experience with that recent person who was difficult, they also want to really protect the guests, and I understand that. I wanted her to have a nice time too, right? I didn't want her to have a bad experience. I was sorry about it, but I can't be held responsible for some knucklehead, and then you make up a bunch of excuses. So be
Right.
careful. Use tools for the pricing, the smart pricing and things
Absolutely.
like that. Use the calendar, sync it with your phone and your personal calendars. That's something I had a little problem with initially. You sync it definitely with your personal calendar because you can make mistakes. And also be careful, one last warning, book your dates that you want out in advance.
So you block it out.
We'll get into this more in some of the other episodes. Set, minimum dates that you allow people to stay and things like that. So we'll
Right.
get into that. Avoid risk by adding disclaimers to your property descriptions. Be purposely vague and talk about seasonality of certain access to certain areas.
Right.
And then plan for your turnovers planfully. Be planful about the turnovers because you don't want to be stressed and having to figure out a maid and somebody cancels. So
Right.
if you have short term, you better plan on doing it yourself if you're going to be in a squeeze. Try and get somebody in there, but in the winter months in Chicago, even if you have somebody there, they could have snowstorm.
Snowstorm
wipe
or
you out.
something. Yeah,
So
you
that
always have
has
to-
happened to me, and you have to be flexible. And people get, rightfully upset if a guest shows up and the place looks like hell. We were talking about dropping off luggage before.
Right.
I don't like having the guests come in to drop off their luggage. I'll take it from them and put it in there if I do that in the future. Because once you see a place when it's dirty, it kind of rubs you the wrong way. You have that envision in your mind.
You always think about it. It's kind of like going to a dirty hotel room. Once
Yes,
you go,
it is
it's
nasty
very,
when you go in. So don't do that.
No.
And just watch out for your guests' erratic behavior and communication signs, and you'll be good. So thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you so much.
We really appreciate it.
We appreciate our sponsor, Sonic Palace Studios.
That's
They're
right.
awesome.
And we're looking forward to more sponsors. So VRBO, Airbnb.
Airbnb.
Come on, join us.
Come on.
And thank you all. And we look forward to seeing you at our next episode. Have a great evening, day, or night.
And stay warm.
And stay warm. Or stay cool, depending on where you are.
Warm.